Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and so today we're going to talk about an issue with Outlook 2010 that causes it to bring up a dialog box asking you to select profile every time that you load Outlook 2010, and how to get rid of that. Now first of all, we're working with Outlook 2010, and in this case I'm working with 32-bit, but the 64-bit has the same issue. And I'm also running Windows 7 64-bit, although this doesn't matter. It should be the same in Windows 7 and any version of Windows 7 in the 32-bit selection. So as usual, I'm going to give my standard warning at the beginning of every one of my videos where you're going to be making changes to anything. I always tell you, back up your system. There is a video that I offer on how to create a system image so you can do a quick restoral back to exactly where you were. I suggest you take a look at that, but otherwise, in the meantime, back up your system absolutely. If at the very least, do a system restore point before you make any changes to your system. I don't think that anything we're going to do today is going to cause a problem, but you never ever know. So be safe and back up. At any rate, that said, let me go ahead and load Outlook 2010 here. And you'll see it pops up with this choose profile dialog box, and the only profile that I have in this dialog box is Outlook, and typically that's the same for most people. They only have this one profile. But you'll see if I click options, you would think that if you click set as default profile and say OK, and it goes ahead and it will finish loading this profile, and then I'm going to close it down. And I'm using file exit for a reason here, which maybe I'll explain in a moment. But if you'll notice, when I go back to reload it, boom, it pops up again. So what does this do? Well, if you have 8 or 10 or 2 or 3 or however many profiles that you have here that besides just only one, it will put whatever you've selected here, if you click this box, at the top of the list. That's all it does. It doesn't tell it, okay, load this one by default. It just means make it the default selection in this list. So it's kind of not really helpful. So at any rate, I'm going to cancel that so we don't load it again. So how do we get rid of it? Well, the first thing you do is go into Control Panel, and you'll notice I've got this set. This may look different than what you have. I've got my Control Panel set to view by small icons. And if you might actually see the default listing, which is like this, and this is where we would want to go. But if you really want to get access to everything, you can go to large icons if you want, so you can scroll through them. But I just select the small icons so that I can get to what I want fairly easily. Now, where we want to be is this male, in this case 32-bit. I'm using Outlook 32-bit, so it shows 32-bit. Yours might show 64-bit if you're running Outlook 64-bit or Office 64-bit. But this is where I want to go. So I'm going to click this, and you'll see it gives you the option to look at your email accounts, change data files around, which I highly recommend you don't do unless you know what you're doing, and to show profiles, which is where we want to be. So I'm going to click on Show Profiles. And why it always throws things over to the side over there is kind of beyond me, but whatever. At any rate, so you can see I only have one profile in my machine, and it is selected, obviously. But here's where the change occurs. It will ask you for a new profile to be used every single time you load if this is checked. Now, many of you may be asking, well, wait a minute, I didn't check that. Why is it like this? Well, there are some add-ons, and I'll just tell you this because I've learned this from experience. There are some add-ons that actually change this setting if you make a change to their options or their preferences. And sometimes they aren't clean and they don't go back and switch them back when you tell them to go back to what they should have been originally. So just know that this can be changed by varying programs, by very varied programs at different situations. It's not unusual. It doesn't mean that you've been hacked. It just simply means that you probably changed a setting in a add-in somewhere or some other piece of software that made a change to this, and it just didn't cleanly change it back. So how do we fix it? Obviously, click Always Use This Profile, and of course the only one I have is selected. So I'm going to say OK to that and close my control panel. and run Outlook, and look at that. It's now loading the profile by default, and it's not asking for me to select anything else. So that's the way you get rid of that nasty little bugger. And actually, you know what? I will tell you here exactly why I use, instead of this X to close, I use the file and the exit. Because sometimes, and I think I'll do it here real quick, sometimes when you click on the X, and then if you look at your task manager, you'll see sometimes, well, in this case it did it cleanly, but you'll see Outlook 32 running, or Outlook 64 running as a task, and when you go to reload it, it will not load cleanly, or not load at all, and you have to come in here and kill it to make sure that it actually will restart again. So that's why I use the file and exit. At any rate, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, as usual, if you have any questions, any concerns, any comments, or if you have a suggestion for something that you'd like me to do a video on, if there's an answer to a question, you can do two things. Send me a video via Skype if you like, or send me a video directly as a message on YouTube, and I will include your message in my video so that we can give you the props that you deserve. And also I will answer the question for you. So feel free to do that, or you can just send me a message and say, hey, I'd like to know about this. Can you do a video? So go onto the channel. It's youtube.com/LeeWillFixIt if you aren't already there, or if that isn't how you got there. And I hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.